hope the SEC has to win the national championship. Hotty toddy, gosh almighty, who the hell are we? Hey, flim flam, bim bam, Ole Miss by damn. Rebels win. What a game. If you're just Joe Sixpack out there in, San Jose, Albuquerque, Littleton, Colorado, Middle America, you're excited about watching that game, but dadgummit, SEC down to 1. Best we could have had was 2. Hey, Rob Browne here with you. Happy New Year. It's going to be a great one. Best days ahead of us. Brendan Martin in Ocala.
TV people aren't too happy about it. I'll tell you.
I know. They ain't. And executive producer Brendan Martin is right. Take a picture, be cool with your your cell phone of the QR codes. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, simultaneously streaming live on 8 channels. And look, a lot to cover today. Frank Duffy will be with us about 1:30. He's on special assignment. Doug Dean in Birmingham joining us momentarily. And in the bullpen, 6'3" sophomore from White Oak, Texas. It is Ken Capps, Football Writers Association of America. And Brad Bellamy, Landers Ford, will join us in the fourth quarter. White Oak, Texas, San Angelo, Harlingen, Edinburgh, McAllen, the Valley. Where were you born? Oh, I'm sorry, Austin, Texas. Ken, you watched a lot of football. You were at the Cotton Bowl the other day. I was looking like a genius. I had Miami to win. 1. Check. I had Oregon to win. Check. I had Alabama to win. I look like a living brain donor. I had Georgia to win. But, hey, I'm happy either way with that one because you got the SEC still alive. Happy New Year, and how you doing? You're muted.
Or just not talking.
Ken, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So you watched a lot of football. You were at the Cotton Bowl at Jerry's World. Miami just shut down Ohio State. The talk among coaches on this show and people, you put pressure on Julian saying he'll transfer. He'll get rattled. Damn, Miami's playing some salty ass defense. It's called SAD, and they can run the ball. Miami's a threat. There's 4 teams left. They can win the whole thing, can't they?
Oh, absolutely. And what I thought was so interesting was at Media Day last week, Miami really came in there with all guns blazing and really, really ticked off that everybody kept calling them the underdog. And Mario Cristobal even said, we don't even know what that underdog term means. We don't even go by that, and they really proved that New Year's Eve. And when they go up 14-0, it really shocked the building, I think. And of course the building was about 3/4 full of Ohio State fans. And then when they Ohio State scored there, and but Miami didn't flinch. I mean, Miami didn't think, oh my God, Ohio State scored, we're doomed. I mean, they really kept the pedal to the metal on defense and really held them down. And of course, they kept the pressure on Julian Sayin all night long, kept sacking him, intercepting him. And, defense won that game for Miami, no doubt about it. You're right. SAD held the day. And, I caught up with Reuben Bain Jr., their consensus All-American, after the game. I caught up with him on the field and said, hey, Reuben, underdog no more, huh? And, there's that commercial they keep playing over and over and over during these bowl games. And it has that song in it, how do you like me now? How do you like me now?
Yep.
Well, he kept saying, he said to me, he said, what are they going to say about us now? What are they going to say about us now? And he's right. What are people going to say about them? They have every chance to win the national championship as any of the other 3 teams. I mean, I still think Indiana's the favorite. But, hey, Miami can certainly go out there, and they are underdogs no more. And they have as much of a chance as anybody else.
They do. And I think Mario Cristobal was there 86-90, played at Christopher Columbus High School in Miami. He was there. They got off the jet for the Fiesta Bowl to play Penn State, the 86 team that, January 2nd of 87, where they wore the camouflage fatigues and the boonie hats. They came in there to war. Remember that game? Penn State won the game 14-10 with a late interception there at the end by linebacker Pete Giftopoulos. He was Greek, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Okay.
I've had a running bet all my life with people. If you're Greek and your last name doesn't end with an S, I give you $5. It was 40 years ago, and Mario was playing. Tommy Tuberville was, I believe, the defensive coordinator in his first year there. First year as a paid assistant. All right, Ohio State's out. They brag and just put it in your face and bench press their wallet in public about how much money they spend on NIL. Texas spends a lot. Texas A&M spends a lot. They're all spectators right now. Guys, morning, Doug. Happy New Year. Merry New Year to everybody. All these schools are spending a lot of money on NIL, and, Indiana plays Alabama, Doug. We got Ken Capps, now Doug Dean in the other corner. Indiana plays, and my friend is a chef for one of their huge donors, maybe their biggest donor. He said, I'm going to be on the sidelines. He said, we will pummel Alabama. And Roger's a huge Ole Miss fan from Manchester, England. And I said, I said, I'm going against my gut feeling because Alabama hadn't been able to run the ball all year, but they've won 11 games. Boy, was I wrong. Doug Dean from Vestavia, not Birmingham, Alabama. How you doing? And Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Glad you're back, man.
Happy New Year. And if my pipes are a little rusty, I'm dealing with the usual common cold this time of year. Ken, Happy New Year to you also, to everyone listening. First, I want to lead by saying, hotty toddy, gosh almighty. I said earlier in the year, it just kind of jumped out in my head that we were not talking about Ole Miss enough. And then there was this narrative, which is understandable when you inject disruption and chaos, putting it mildly, into the Ole Miss program right as the playoffs are starting, that, Ole Miss will bow out quickly. Some people even thought Tulane would give them trouble, which was silly. But, that game could have gone either way. I thought Kirby made a very questionable decision to go on fourth down deep in his territory with still 9 minutes left. That's when normally he would play to his defense. So it was a 3-point margin at that point. Ole Miss quickly scores, but you got to tip your hat. I'm happy for Yancey Porter and all these kids, what they've had to go through. That was amazing. And there's really, honestly, if I'm a Bama fan, I'm going to flush that game last night and just acknowledge that the Alabama's not rebuilding. They're loaded with talent, but they're probably going to give serious effort to both certain aspects of the offensive line, and especially look no farther than Indiana if you want to know what great running backs look like. God, those two bruisers just couldn't. They would break tackles, yak yards. I'd love to see, Rob, in that game. And it never was really a game, but tip your hat to Alabama. Anytime a team makes a playoff, I'm going to be real careful as a fan being unhappy with the outcome in the end.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it because I've been telling people about the money Ole Miss has, and they're bringing in players. My God, they're fans. I mean, my phone was getting lit up like, Christmas tree last night. But I thought it would go down, be a really tight game. And how about those 3 plays in the second half? 3 plays alone, Doug, by Trinidad Chambliss.
Wow, football's a funny game, isn't it?
Yeah.
He came off the bench, probably only because of, is it Simmons' injury?
Yeah, Austin Simmons' injury, yeah.
And if memory serves, there's a guy you may have heard of, Tom Brady, who only got injected early because of injury. I think somebody would have eventually figured out Tom Brady's pretty good.
Yeah.
But that you can't help but be thrilled for Trinidad, and it's the comparison is weak. But there was a guy named Cam Newton who's in my background on that big LSU Heisman winning LSU run, who also came from a college no one had heard of, Blinn. Had you heard of Blinn before Cam Newton?
No.
I hadn't.
Hell no.
Now, obviously, he had also had a cup of coffee in Gainesville, but you gotta love stories like that. Trinidad, he didn't play a perfect game, but he made some critical throws and judgments when they were most important. And I was going into this playoff. Georgia was 59th in the nation ranked in passing.
Yep.
That was always going to be where it could sneak up on them if they had to get in a game that was more of a shootout and their defense couldn't help them win with just 27 points, which is kind of how it shook out. Then that was going to be their Achilles heel. And also not surprising, and nor did any good Bama fans say that it didn't matter, but Bama was 104th in the nation in rushing. Only 1,511 yards on the ground during the season. That doesn't matter when you play a team that you can light them up through the air, but Indiana is a complete team. And I would not bet against IU in any game they have coming. Would you, Rob?
No. I mean, and you know what? What is it about the Nick Saban personality, Kurt Cignetti? Nick Saban's from Monongah, West Virginia. Kurt Cignetti from Pittsburgh. He's probably been down in the warehouse district, had a Permane Brothers sandwich. In case you're wondering, it's got all the meats on it and everything and the great sauce and everything with French fries piled on top of that under a bun that they cut in half. Kurt Cignetti really doesn't give a damn if you like him or not. And a lot of the narrative was he left Alabama on bad terms with Nick Saban. A lot of people leave on bad terms when they leave because they don't want you to leave or you couldn't stand working with them. But look at the similarities. All this bull spit that we hear about, well, you can't be tough on kids these days. Yes, you can. And that's the only thing that works. Pete Golding, let's talk about Pete. 41 years old, from Hammond, Louisiana, went to Delta State University. And what was the narrative a lot of people said at Alabama? A lot of Alabama people said, oh, he can't coach. He's terrible. Really? He's only the best recruiter Ole Miss has. They've named him the head coach. They could have gone and got someone else. And he's 2-0 in the college football playoffs.
Yeah, it's, sure, somebody's got to be blamed. And the challenge with any given year under Saban, if things didn't go well, you weren't going to blame Nick Saban,
Yeah.
who did the hiring of the coordinators.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't blame Saban either. He's that good. But Golding had a couple of seasons that mystified Bama. And for all I know, that it was as much talent as it was scheme. So congrats to Golding getting this opportunity. And I'd love to have been a fly on the wall at Lane Kiffin's palatial estate in Baton Rouge. I guess that's where he was last night.
Yeah.
I think he was probably ecstatic for the kids, but I haven't seen him take to Twitter yet. Maybe he did.
Yeah, I would hope he is because, man, I live in Memphis. I have so many Ole Miss friends. I mean, it's going to be so much fun at the Duck Club this weekend. I think about friends like Michael Campbell, one of the best guys I know from Natchez, Mississippi. His son's a senior at Ole Miss. I mean, he has been going to Ole Miss games since he was old enough to zip his pants up. And he's been through some rough times, but never wavered in loyalty. I mean, Trip Monger and Margaret Monger, friends of mine, and Chris Lynch, Chris Perkins, Mike Matheny. I mean, my phone last night, Ken, you know this, following teams, when you watch a team and a fan base that sticks with them forever and they get to this moment, it makes all the hell they went through worth it, doesn't it? You're a great writer. So is Doug. You're muted. Damn.
Kenny, you're muted.
Kenny, you're muted. You're a great writer, and we can't hear you. Come back in. We can't hear you, so unmute yourself if you can. I don't know what happened, but Doug, you think about it. You pick the school, the fan base. Miami's been in the ACC 20 years. They still hadn't won the ACC, but they might win a national championship before they win their conference.
Yeah, and I don't want anybody to beat me to the punch on this, but rather obvious trivia question. What is unique about all four of these teams that enter the semifinals? What do they have in common? All four of these teams. It's pretty amazing.
Wow. My brain could go crazy, but
all right, I'll spoiler. All 4 head coaches are from the Nick Saban coaching tree. All 4
Yeah,
of them.
you're damn right.
I mean, you think he's a goat. Now, some of that is he's been around a while, and when you're doing as well as Saban was at Alabama and even LSU, you have the ability to hire great coordinators. Great coordinators tend to eventually become head coaches, but they've not only made it to the head coaching ranks, they're winning big. It took Cristobal a little while, but boy, he looks pretty stout. That team I thought they would take down Ohio State. I think you did too. Some of your guests did, but yeah, the Saban coaching tree is for real, at least this particular year.
Yeah, and the question about, you think about it, Lanning, unbelievable job that he's done in Oregon. Mario Cristobal, 4 years at Alabama, National Recruiter of the Year, 2 or 3 of those 4 years. You think about Pete Golding, 4 years as defensive coordinator at Alabama, and you sit here and you look at Kurt Cignetti, left Alabama, was there. Doug, another trend is what we've always thought you had to have to win in college football. You've gotten to a point, but you can't get all the way if you can't run the ball.
Yeah, and it's not that Alabama set out to not run the ball. Yeah. I think just a confluence of things. I think they've got a very good offensive line, but not perfect. And you can't fix that during the season. You can't reinvent yourself as a rushing attack in the middle of the season normally.
Well, and what did Alabama have? One rusher, Jam Miller, go over 100 yards the entire season, and they ended up 11-4. And Ken he's working his way through the grinder right now, I think one thing that I'm noticing too is in college football now. You look at Georgia, 91% of their roster was kids they recruited out of high school. Flip that to Ole Miss, 34% was the high school kids. So they're doing a great job in the portal because they have to in a lot of ways. Georgia doesn't. Ole Miss gets the win last night. What are your takeaways there?
It was a shootout. I thought when Georgia got a decent lead, was it third quarter, that they might not look back because they play great defense, nor they have all year. But this is an Ole Miss offense that's balanced. They're dangerous. And when you've got an elite quarterback, no offense to Gunnar Stockton, he's done all they've asked him to do, but he doesn't have the skill set to pick you apart through the air and use his wheels. He made some nifty runs, but Ole Miss just brought a little more offensive firepower. Neither team played incredible defense, but the other 2 games, Oregon, a shutout of Texas Tech, 23-0, and of course what Indiana did that probably would do to anybody that's left in the I think Indiana has caught a break here with the teams that are left. They wouldn't want a rematch with Ohio State. Usually doesn't go well, but
yeah, and if you look at historically the SEC championship game in Atlanta, the team that wins the regular season game majority of the time wins the rematch in the conference championship. But it's not, we hadn't played it. I don't know what those numbers are for college football playoff rematches, but both games, Ole Miss, Georgia in Athens, and this one in New Orleans, very similar, right down to the end.
I think Bartu, Mr. Numbers, quant guy that we have on a lot, if he were here, I believe he would say it's random. The rematch thing is overdone. Ole Miss found a way to make that. It's hard to play a second game, but I don't think that had much to do with why the Rebels came out on top. I think we haven't been talking enough about a one-loss Ole Miss team all year long, and that one loss was at Georgia, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here thinking about what is happening in college football, watching the narratives being played out. I got a picture this morning from an Ole Miss friend, and it's kind of funny. Everyone picked Georgia. Not once. One of the pickers picked Ole Miss. You don't need that to be motivated, but it's fun to see it after the fact, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Incredible. Now what is it today, Rob? The portal is open, and I think some ridiculous. Someone said 3,300 players have entered the portal, and I would say about 60% of those are going to run into market reality and be disappointed that Uncle Joe, who told them they were worth $2 million, was not exactly on point.
Well, I think what's happening is, okay, what'll get you fired? What'll get you fired is people leaving the stadium early. What'll get you fired is apathy. Fans leaving the game early, not showing up. It's not the coach that's going to get, the AD that's going to fire you, the president of the boosters. That's what'll get you. You start looking, the crowd in Miami was awful. Of course, we had Oregon and Texas Tech from way away. But, Bartu and I were talking about this, and you looked at it. Like you said, he goes, Texas Tech did not have enough talent to compete offensively with Oregon. Oregon, 23-0. And that was a roster 25 or 30 million that Texas Tech spent on. They won 12 games. Joey McGuire, the coach, is talking to him, hey, man, still appreciate what we did. I understand that. But, man, Oregon's played for the title in 2010 against Auburn, came up short. Played in 2014, the first year of the CFP. Ohio State won that one going away. They're a different team now. Of these 4 teams left, Doug, who are you favoring to win it all?
I'm probably going to have to ride the Miami train. They made some of us look smarter than we are, taking down the Buckeyes. And boy, they play a physical brand of football. But I think let's see, what are the matchups? Indiana plays who?
Well, you've got Ole Miss playing against Miami and Indiana playing Oregon. That's Miami. A rematch. Because remember, Indiana won in Eugene 30-20 in the regular season.
I think Miami's that Miami defense, Bain and the other guy, they're gonna get after Chambliss. I probably have to give a slight edge to Miami in that one. Yeah. And then Oregon. Oregon can win that game, but I'm not swimming upstream against the Indiana team I saw yesterday and apologies to my good Bama friends, worst Alabama loss since 1998, and that was a 36-point deficit to the Razorbacks. But that's Alabama's got the talent to perform better than that, and they certainly will next year.
Well, they do, you say, but they lost 4 games last year. Ended up with 4 losses again this year. So the record for Kalen DeBoer and Nick Saban, Ken, are statistically, I guess, identical. The program that Nick Saban inherited in 2007 wasn't nearly as strong as what Nick Saban handed off to Kalen DeBoer. Ken Capps, I got to ask you the feeling in Texas. Texas and Texas A&M both spent a fortune on NIL. The top 4 running backs for Texas quit on the team, didn't even show up for the damn bowl game. What's the temperature in Texas right now with what Sark's doing? Well, moving right along, I guess it's the day after New Year's. Everybody's at home on their internet. But I have to say this to you, Doug. If you're spending that kind of money, this is where NIL is going to blow up. Look at the schools out there. You paid for a new roof, and the first time you had a big rain, it leaked. That's how you got to feel.
What's interesting, and there's an Auburn. There's a bunch of schools. Auburn's one of them that have new coaches, or they have a coach that's shifting their strategic focus and building a roster. And Auburn people who, like me, prefer to live life as more optimistically, will take great heart in watching what Cignetti's done at Indiana. That's almost entirely a portal build. He brought some JMU kids. We're not laughing at JMU anymore, are we?
No.
And at least as a feeder program for coaches like that. And I think Golish at Auburn finds himself probably not to the degree he wanted, having to go in the portal as the exodus continues. If you're an Auburn fan or a program that's having a lot of exodus of expensive players, there's a silver lining. There's a flip side to that coin. When somebody's been getting $2 million, which is too much for a wide receiver, that unless they're, Jeremiah Smith at OSU, then you also get $2 million to go to market with. starting today and rebuild your roster. And I think what you will see is less and less focus on gambling with 7 figures on a high school senior, and more teams shifting. Instead of 60% being high school or 70%, it might kind of go in the direction of a 50% foundation of high school kids, because that's going to take a year or two with all of them to develop, if they even stick around.
Well, think about the draft, April of 2010. Sam Bradford from Oklahoma comes in, 4 years, $78 million. The next year, the NFL put the new contracts in place for rookies. Cam Newton, the number 1 pick in April of 2011, 4 years, $22 million. Remember his first game, he passed for like 479 yards. And the first thing you heard everybody say was, well, as soon as this contract's up for renegotiation, they're going to have to renegotiate his contract. I think the market's figuring, hey, Cam Coleman, if it's all about the money, dude, let me tell you what's going to happen to some of these kids. That's going to happen to all of them. Let's say you go to the NFL, you make it 2 or 3 years. Say you get injured, you're done. You've bounced around 2 or 3 schools. You're from Phoenix City, Cam. I'm using him as an example. You go back home, like, damn, I need to get a job. I'm only 25, 26 years old. I'm going to drive over to Auburn and see my buddies and all. They're not going to forget that you left them in the toughest of times. It's like walking out on your family at the dinner table. I'll leave it at that. And you don't want to alienate the wealthiest, richest people in your state or your region. And these kids, you and I and Ken have all been 19 and 20 before, and we're whatever age we are now. But they've only been 19 or 20. They don't know a whole lot, do they, Ken? Well, Ken,
audio would help.
Yeah, audio. Just go ahead and unmute yourself. Well, I don't know what's going on, but you see what I'm saying, Doug? Cam Coleman, if it's just about the money, Cam, then go somewhere else. I think what you need to tell these kids, and every school's got to do it. The new coaches are coming in. They're looking at the contracts, and then it's like in sales. You're looking at the contract this guy's being paid, and then you're looking at his production. And if they're not producing anything, you go, dude, you were making $2 million a year. I mean, Perry Thompson, I'm sure he got a lot of money as a 5-star out of Foley, Alabama to come to Auburn. In 2 years, does he have over 300 yards receiving? How many? And you think about, in the case of a coach, Hugh Freeze in 3 years did not have a single signature win. I've never seen that happen in Auburn history. How do you think Florida fans feel? DJ Lagway, you know what Brendan said? Baylor, whatever school that's going to try to get him in the portal, he said, you'll fall in love with him. You'll be enamored. It's sexy, the athletic ability, all that stuff. He goes, we did too. We all fell for it. He's got $2-3 million he's made in NIL. He's happy. Here's what's happening. The NFL guys are going to tell you this because I'm hearing it. I'm not going to name names. They're going, the product that you are sending us ain't what it was even 5 years ago, Doug.
Yeah. Head coaches all, I'm sure, are in rooms with their staff, and they're talking about tough decisions like, wow, are you really going to let a player with at least the athleticism that you can see? I don't care if it was Ball State or Mercer that he did against. You're going to let Deuce Knight get away? Yeah. And the answer is yes, because if you're goalish at Auburn and you have a chance to bring Byron Browne in, who you saw a year ago, the numbers he can put up, and that, so the betting 2 or 3 million plus on the come on future production, head coaches, I don't think they can burn through their NIL war chest to that extent. But it also means Auburn will probably get to watch Deuce Knight go somewhere and look awfully good pretty quick. That's just the gamble you got to take.
Yeah. Well, and in business sometimes, go back 15 and 20 years ago, certain businesses were paying guys millions to move from firm A to firm B. A lot of those guys went belly up because they got that money like that is intoxicating, man. You've got 3 chemicals in your brain that affect mood: dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine. You make that kind of money, you might do a little bit of white candy too. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens with money. And you know what? Let's say Alex Golesh, John Summerall, I can guarantee you he's looking at those contracts and production and going, look, dude, you ain't done anything. We've been paying you $3 million. You hadn't done jack squat. You're out of here. That most of the kids in the portal are there not because they're so good. It's because they were told where they were going to get a pay cut. And they said, if you don't like it, I'll hit the portal button for you. That's what's happening. And you look at the roster, Julian saying if you look at that kid wrong, he'll get scared and break down. He'll watch him transfer. I wouldn't be surprised. Dylan Raiola at Nebraska. What we've got now, to borrow the line from Cool Hand Luke, is a failure to communicate. We've got a bunch of quitters. And you know what? We're seeing it everywhere. That's why Kurt Cignetti's winning, is because he's tough as nails. He's like, dude.
Google me.
Yeah, Google me. Kurt, did you see him after the game? He looked so pissed off. Remember Tom Osborne? They'd win 70-3, and he'd go, we're a little concerned about the breakdown of the defense in the fourth quarter. And you're going, you won 70-3.
That's classic Nick Saban, too.
Yeah.
I
love it.
Man, he's serious about the standard of play.
Yeah.
I think we need to, and Dave Bartu, College Football Matrix, says this a lot, and he's right, bears repeating, that if you took the best couple of Alabama and Georgia championship teams, they would mop the floor with just about anybody who's playing this year.
Yeah, and I like this Kelly Leak. Rob, you said something a while ago about REM getting a huge upfront money, and then they disappeared. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, they got an $85 million advance. That was the end of them. I mean, you know what they give? I talked to someone in the music business, and this doesn't apply to everybody, but he works in Nashville, on Printers Alley, Music Row up there. He said, I'm talking big time names. He goes, 250, 500,000 is what they give them now. You've got to go out on the road and tour. You cannot put children if you've got a lot of money and you don't make your kids work, they're going to be like the guy that was born on third base and thinks he hit a triple. That's where we are in college football. And it's fun to watch. I love watching these. Okay, look at the stats. Indiana, 0 5-stars, 7 4s, and 55 or 63s, 2s, and who the hell was this guy? That's where we are. And here, take 3. Let's roll. Ken Caps, can you hear us now? All right. Ken, you're muted. Hopefully we can hear you. But
you look good, Ken. We can see you. All right, this is when you need a sign language interpreter, Rob.
But Doug, you think about it right now. Oregon's program right now. That what Dan Lanning has done out there, you're right, all from the Nick Saban coaching tree. So again, flush it down the toilet that you've got to be friends and coddle and go along to get along with the kids today. They do not want that. They want to be pushed hard. They love it. Why is the Marine Corps, even in the last 4 or 5 years, their numbers never went down? They met their numbers. They didn't try to coddle and be best friends with people. This is where we are in college athletics. You want a great team, be tough on them. And if they don't like it, hit the road and get someone. What I want to see is a roster full of kids, and you pick the school, that love it and appreciate it and want to be there. Because if you do it right at Texas or Florida or Ole Miss or Arkansas, Memphis, Auburn, Georgia, you do it right, Doug. You're a blocking dummy for 4 years, 5 years. You get your degree. You can come back and you're a member of the Letterman's Club, just like the guy that graduates last in medical school. You're still a doctor.
Yeah, and you know what I've noticed? I don't know about you, but I was becoming nauseated with the word culture. We've got to get the culture right on our team, because Hugh Freeze liked to talk about he had a culture council comprised of players who consistently kept going 5 and 7.
Yeah.
But just because that word is being thrown around and it's not being actually installed and people held accountable to whatever the standard of culture is, doesn't mean it's empty. And Cignetti proves that. I think what Cristobal has done at Miami, it took a little while, but they play with what is your brand? What's your identity? They play physical and tough, and he will not accept neither of those two coaches. And you could add Dan Lanning if you want. I'd like to see Lanning the rest of the way here, and before we hand him his roses and flowers. But I think the reason culture is critical, if they are actually going to enforce the new valuations, the limits on, you can't give a high school player 7 figures without it being, that valuation being approved. I'm skeptical that we will actually see enforcement of that. And I'm going to be watching with cynicism, honestly, which programs are the best at being sneaky, devious, and bending, if not breaking, the rules about how money flows through to top athletes. Because it's one thing to stay within your, let's call it $30 million max spend. For a lot of schools, you can do a lot with that, but you're going to run out of money quick if you're buying $1 to $2, $3 million quarterbacks and that are backups, for God's sake. So I want to see the NCAA show me that you've gotten a step closer to a level playing field. I think we will see money that never sees the light of day. It's under the table, that supplements whatever the actual public NIL deal is with some of these players. And how will you know that's happening? When a school magically has a roster that's 3 deep, talented, with what look like 7-figure offensive linemen, D linemen, and skill players.
Well, if you've got a locker room, a roster full of guys that just came for the money and they don't love the school, you're not going to be successful. We know. And you're right. The culture at Auburn was horrible. The 5 straight losing seasons. You and I know that program quite well.
It's just coming out now too, what some of the players were getting away with.
Yeah, they were getting away with not working. Hugh Freeze not in the building. We knew that. His golf game certainly got better. But you know what? That's why Hugh Freeze didn't get hired by anybody else. Word's out on him. Hey, screw me once, shame on you. Twice, shame on me. Auburn knew what they were getting, and I guess they acted out of desperation, and maybe some booster or two forced that hire. I'm just going to say that may have happened, but I digress. But here's the deal. Look at LSU. Frank Duffy, a 6'9", 312-pound junior from Opelousas, Louisiana, with a hell of a point guard. Frank, how you doing?
You can't have Weiss Jr. back quite yet, Duffy.
Yeah, no kidding. I tell you what, I don't like this at all. Having to go another week or more. This is causing me some consternation. I need my assistant coaches into the facility, especially since we go shopping today.
Hey, you think you don't like it? Imagine being Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And as they advance to the semis, you got an infiltrating Lane Kiffin staffer why wouldn't he be talking to some of those Ole Miss players about transferring to LSU?
As Hattie McDaniel going to win, it just ain't fitting.
Yeah.
It just ain't fitting. Having coaches on 2 different staffs is insane. And I guess it was just trying to make lemonade out of lemons. And look, I get Ole Miss. Ole Miss was just not going to let Lane do it. They were not. They might have had to eat a caca sandwich, but they weren't going to have to say thank you for it. And look, I've already told my Ole Miss buddies. I gave them a tip of the cap this morning. Outstanding job. I thought they were done at halftime when he turned back in, and they missed that opportunity for that field goal. And by the way, isn't that kicker fantastic? I mean, just money. But I thought they were done, and they come back, go up 10 on Georgia, and you got to give it to Kirby and the Dogs. They came back, they tied it up. Probably should have gone ahead. They went for that field goal, and
Frank. Wait, look here. We got a little interruption there with Frank. I don't know what's going on today. It's just Doug. I'm gonna say this. You know what's interesting? Look at the 4 teams, the Final 4 in the college football playoff. Oregon, they played for the national championship twice, but they haven't won one ever. Indiana, I mean, they don't know what that is. I mean, basketball, they do. But Indiana's never won one. Ole Miss, they won 59, 60, and 62, but not in 60 plus years. And Miami, they won in 83, 87, 89, 91, and 2001. And they joined the ACC in 2004. They still hadn't won that conference, but they're going to potentially win the national championship before. So,
if I step back from it, I don't think this is going to be a little boring take, but I think all four of these teams are capable of winning the whole thing. All four.
I agree.
Of them. I just lean ever so slightly to Miami and Indiana from what we've seen so far.
Okay, so you look at Miami, Carson Beck. They lost on the road at SMU, and they lost at home badly to Louisville. Jeff Brom's a hell of a coach, but Louisville ended up losing 4 or 5 games. You're sitting there, and I'm telling you what's happening. And everybody, I get so many people get on me about there's your free market, Rob. I go, no, it's happening. It is. You work your way through this stuff. Remember what we all used to pay for a video recorder? Remember, Doug, when the Betamax came out, they were just under $2,000 a piece. You get, hey, is that Jack?
This is Jack.
Hey, Jack. Happy New Year, Jack. How old is Jack? 2.5 or 3?
2. Let's call him 2.5. He's an early lean to Alabama.
Oh.
Regrettably,
Well,
Daddy's Alabama.
There we go, Jack. But you think about where we are with all the stuff happening in college football, and you go out there, and if you get a roster full of guys that are there with their hands out and want to constantly renegotiate their deals and all, that's why Nick Saban said, "I'm out of here, man." I mean, I'm not here to play, Monty Hall, let's make a deal. It's almost like we got swinging going on in college football right now. Ole Miss's coaches going back and forth. It's like wife swapping, man. This is crazy. But
well, Saban was right that they got to fix the calendar, at least fix the transfer portal calendar date. These teams that are still in the playoff, it's a huge disadvantage that they can't devote time to closing deals in the portal.
Frank,
right now.
You remember when the College World Series in Omaha, they would have the Major League Baseball draft during the World Series? Guys would be out on the mound more worried about, oh my God, I just got drafted. And they changed that. Let's fix this. Hey, this is stupid.
You know what you could do? And that, let me get even more conspiratorial. Is that a word, Duffy? I think it is.
Conspiratorial.
Right now, if you're really an evil genius, if you're Darth Vader, the way you play football, you could have a staffer, not the head coach. You could have a staffer tamper with a player that you're about to play in the semifinals, and let word leak out that this elite player is going to be transferring to LSU, and that's, putting it mildly, that's disruptive to a team when they're trying to stay focused on a playoff game.
Well, Frank, what do you think?
It's absolutely insane, and it's absolutely insane. And you're exactly right. We've got to get this calendar fixed. That's the most important thing. Nick Saban was absolutely right. We've got to get the calendar fixed.
Yeah. Well, nobody's doing it. Frank, we can barely hear you. Try to reboot and come back in. Barely. You're breaking up every other word. Reboot and try to come back in. Text Brendan to see what we can do, but we can't hear him. But I'll say this. I want to hear what Frank's saying, but Doug, these 4 teams that are left, you got 2 from the Big Ten, the SEC 1, Miami ACC 1. Ole Miss, Pete Golding, first time to be a head coach, 41 years old, great recruiter. And what's amazing is the defense was getting stops when they had to last night. And they pulled Georgia out of their comfort zone. What keeps happening to me is the teams, when you force people out of their comfort zone and don't let them play their game, that's when you start succeeding.
Coaches call that making the opponent play left-handed. Like, take away from them what they're most comfortable with, especially offensively, and you got a chance.
Yeah, and I'm looking at some of these comments. Miami exposed the Big Ten by dominating the second-place Big Ten team that barely lost to Indiana. Watch out about comparative scores, but you can also learn something from them. Look, the traditional cabal of college football. Texas Tech, they ain't in there. Miami's last bowl win was like 1991. This is, what schools won the most Sugar Bowls all time? Alabama with 10. What school's second place? Ole Miss now with 7.
Really?
And Ole Miss hadn't won the SEC since 1963. And Frank talked about it, and I hate that Frank is having trouble. I'm not sure where he is. He may be if he was at Crystal, they have great Wi-Fi, by the way. Get the sunrise breakfast and Wi-Fi. A couple of grenades with shrapnel, a bowl of mud, and a box of fuses. That's chili and fries. Not for breakfast, though. Please help us. But, Doug, you're looking around the traditional cabal of college football. You know, Oklahoma got to the playoffs, but they were not a juggernaut. It was brought up the other day on this show. Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma. They were fine. They were rolling. And he's never had that kind of success ever at Southern Cal. You look at other coaches that just left their school, and you pick them. Jimbo Fisher left Florida State. They ain't been the same. They had the one good year. And what did we say when all those 30-something players quit? Don't use that term opt-out. Those are quitters, okay? They are quitters, and they quit on their team. They destroyed the culture in the locker room, and Florida State has been gasping for air for the last couple of years. And the only reason they hadn't gotten rid of Mike Norvell, who I think is a hell of a coach, is because they can't afford to get rid of him. That's like staying married to someone because the divorce is too expensive.
Yeah, and I want to shout out one of our viewers, H-Town Creole. I'm going to guess he's from the great state of Louisiana. He said the playing field could not be more level now. Look at who's in the playoffs. It's not the usual suspect. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Where I want I want college football a little more level, which might take a congressional act literally with a antitrust exemption that allows a players union. But to the extent we don't all operate within a identical salary cap, then we don't have a level playing field. It's level. It's getting more teams in there willing to spend money. Texas Tech, did spend money. They should have spent a little more on a running back, arguably, at least if one game is instructive. So I would like to see an actual enforcement teeth in what the total spend looks like if a school is willing to fund all the way up to that max cap. Duff, what you got?
Lauren, what do you got?
Yep. I think we get away from Major League Baseball approach where it's uneven and do a football to field. And then if we even, the max you want to spend, if you make the investment, great, you can do it, but you can't go over that number. So all that are playing at the top level have an even playing field. I mean, you have to spend that much, but I think that's equitable than doing Major League Baseball where the Yankees get to buy whoever they want.
Yeah, well, and you look at the markets, the Los Angeles Dodgers, when Liberty owned the Braves, they're 148 million. The Dodgers are spending 250 to 300. Salary cap. Look, I'm not for socialism. Everybody's the same because sooner or later you run out of other people's money to spend and steal. What I'm saying, though, Brad Bellamy is here right now, and he's going to make us all happy. Brad, wow, that Alabama game. I've got 3 of my Alabama friends I'm going to the Liberty Bowl with today. We'll just talk about the price of coffee in Columbia and other things, but hey, at least you were there. My school wasn't there. I still hadn't been there, but what's going on at Landers Ford? And Happy New Year. Love having you on here. I love the jacket, by the way. I want one of those. That's cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Happy New Year, guys. Pleasure to be on here this morning. So today ends Ford's year. So even though December 31st was on Wednesday, today ends Ford's year. And so all those deals we talked about last week, they're still going on today. So 0% for 60 on F-150, Explorer, Transit, Lightning, 0 for 72, Mach-E 0 for 72. $1,000 mega bonus cash to end the year. All that stuff runs through today. So come on out, take advantage of these end of the year savings. We still got them going on. And same thing with our rebates and parts and service. $20 on a works package, $150 on a set of 4 tires. So it's going to be a great day. December, guys, is our best month of the year. Unbelievable. We did 23 new vehicles on Tuesday and Wednesday. It was absolutely incredible. We were slammed, and it was wonderful. So thank you to all the folks out there that have come out, and we still got deals to be had. So come check us out, corner of Houston Levy and Poplar at Landers Ford. We'll have the bowl games on today, so have them on the TV. But come on out. Might be a little bit rainy, so what a better chance to watch a game than sitting in the showroom waiting to get into the finance office. So come on out, check us out. We're here to take care of you. Great deals on Bronco Sport, Maverick, Ranger. So, man, guys, what a playoff. My wife last night, as we're falling asleep, she said, "How many people do you think picked that Final Four?" So, I don't think anybody's surprised about Indiana. They've been a dominant team all year. I was hoping that Alabama would play better than they did. But what a difference 1 yard makes, right? If Ty Simpson gets that first, fourth down call and he goes the extra yard instead of the slide, which to me, it almost looked like he didn't slide. It's the way he got tackled. But either way, they didn't convert on fourth down. And then that kind of, to me, set up the rest of the game. I mean, at that point in time, it was just, hammer nail coffin, as Pete Pranica would say at the Grizzlies, and it was over in the first half. So Indiana's a great football team. I was really surprised how Texas Tech showed up yesterday. I expected a lot more out of them, but hey, that's the way it goes sometimes. I mean, we hadn't really seen Texas Tech play anybody outside of the Big 12 all year, so I guess that shows you the competition in the Big 12, and now we got two Big 10, one ACC that no one thought should be in, and Ole Miss. So hotty toddy, gosh almighty, what a game!
How excited is Don Kitchen?
Brad, I don't believe for a minute.
Doug, come back in here with us. Doug froze.
Sorry, I
walked
on.
There he is.
I walked on you.
Okay.
I don't believe for a minute, Brad, that Indiana is 35 points better than this talented Alabama team. At certain games, like you said, it can go a certain way that it gets away from you too quick. And then you start having to make play calls offensively that are you wouldn't normally do because you're just trying to get back in the game. So if I'm a Bama fan, I'm not – panic is the wrong word to let in your emotional state right now. Fixing a few things on their roster makeup, maybe offensive line, possibly different types of running backs. I'm sure that's what DeBoer will focus on. Do you agree, Brad?
Yeah, and I think too, Doug, I mean, same thing in that Texas Tech game, right? I mean, if they scored the touchdown instead of throwing the interception in the end zone, it's a one-score game. Man, Dan Lanning got lucky, though. If Texas Tech would have come out and won that game, the number of times that Lanning went for it on fourth down and didn't convert, I mean, there's a huge story there. I mean, turnovers were what really won the game for Oregon, but, man, all those fourth down calls where they didn't convert and didn't put up points. I mean, obviously their defense controlled most of that game, but the turnovers are what really killed Texas Tech. And, yeah, I mean, I don't think Alabama was a 35-point underdog to that team, but that's the way it goes sometimes in these games. Ohio State didn't get the breaks they needed. Miami did. I mean, that pick six changed that whole entire game. And, I'm so thankful, though, last night that Ole Miss won that game because from now until Jesus comes back, we would have heard about that face mask that did not get called and why Ole Miss got screwed out of winning that game. So I am so thankful that they won that game because we would have never heard the end of it.
Yes,
Ole Miss fans in Memphis.
You're correct, sir.
The at least it's consistent. The officiating continues to suck, and this thing of they're letting them play when it's an obvious glaring pass interference, it should be called. Even Matt Austin was saying that in some of those games.
Yeah, it's a lack of consistency. And I think a lot of these officials, they just need to get in better shape because they've got to be able to keep up with the competitive speed. The game is faster. It seems like it gets faster every year. There's just more deception, more misdirection, stuff like that. Guys, and I'll start with you, Brad. College football, again, when Tony Barnhart was on with us Tuesday, it was great. Again, we're still watching it. It's like watching the 6 o'clock news to see what happened on the interstate, that big wreck you saw. What happened? The quality of the game, technically, it's different. Who has a dominant offensive line anymore? Who can name the first team All-American team? We all remember Bob Hope, coming out there and Anson Mount, the Playboy All-American team, strictly for the reading of the All-American team. That's what we bought it for. But it's different. But damn, I can't wait to see the TV ratings on this. which now asks the question. I think Doug brought it up earlier. Quickly, Brad, what do the TV people think about these matchups? Ole Miss and Indiana, Oregon, and Miami.
I mean, I think they love the fact that Miami's there.
Yeah.
Miami's a draw. I think they would have rather had Ohio State than Indiana, but I mean, what a great story. I love the call from the radio guy talking about all those years, and he's done Indiana basketball and football and how miserable his life has been is calling those football games. And he's finally got something to be celebrating. I mean, there's going to be a lot of the team with the advantage is 1-7. That is a huge story. And I think last year we all credited, hey, the better teams were the ones that didn't get the bye. But this year, no one's saying that, right? And so I think there's going to be wholesale changes in the playoff format. It's going to be really interesting, too, to see what happens with Kiffin and his staff, because I don't think Kiffin expected them to win that game, and that's why he said, hey, you guys can go coach. But now Ole Miss did win. You got all that staff that now he said, hey, you got to be in Baton Rouge today, work the portal for LSU. Is he going to let him coach next week? Like, what's going to be the dynamic there? I love the story at Ole Miss and the fact that they're winning, and I would love to see them win without Kiffin on the sideline. I think that's the best story. And you know what? Go to LSU. But it's going to be interesting. And there's so much push right now. I feel like the heads of state of college football saying, we got to make changes to this because the way that guys are having to play both sides, coach, and everything else.
Yeah, it is. Doug?
I wonder what Brad, you follow this maybe a little closer than I do, but if it's called a prop bet, what the payoff would be to pick Ole Miss, not Georgia or Alabama, Ole Miss to advance to the semis. I didn't hear a lot of that talk myself, at least.
So, I mean, heading into to get to the semifinals, I mean, Ole Miss and Miami are the two longest odds. Same thing with the national championship. I mean, outside of Tulane and JMU, those two teams were the teams that were the furthest odds to get to the end. So, I mean, what a great prop bet some folks had. I mean, but think about the beginning of the year too. I mean, what Miami after they got that second loss in the ACC. Yeah. What odds they were to get to the national championship game. So, I mean, it's going to be exciting. I think that there's a lot of fan bases that are going to tune off now because they're pissed off their team's lost. I think that's one of the struggles now with the playoff is when you get there, you don't make it. You're kind of done. Like, you don't want to watch, Ohio State fans. Do they really want to watch Indiana? I mean, or Oregon? No, because they just got beat. So I think that is one of the challenges now of the playoff structure is you do lose some engagement as fans drop off.
But we got to wrap up. But I will say this. I love college football, and hosting this show, it's like having 16 kids. So somebody's happy. I'm focusing on Ole Miss right now. We're all Ole Miss Rebels right now.
We should all tip our hat to Ole Miss fan base. I mean, that what they've been through emotionally for a month, and to pull off that's like all is well in Rebel Nation at the moment.
The Indiana fan base too. I mean, think about how loud that Rose Bowl game was yesterday. I mean, they showed up in droves, and same thing with the Sugar Bowl last night. I mean, it was hotty toddy nation. They're not awake yet because they probably didn't go to bed till 5 a.m. But man, congratulations to Ole Miss. I'm happy for them.
I am too. I love college football, and I've got friends that are fans of every school, it seems. But man, this is awesome. And go to Bim Bam down on Jackson Avenue if you're in Oxford, Mississippi. You got the biggest, baddest breakfast you'll ever have. Bim Bam's burgers and breakfast. Hey, look, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. It's going to be a great new year. Best days are ahead of us. Go out and support all of our sponsors. Can't find a better corporate partner than Landers Ford, Memphis.com. Brad Bellamy, that guy right there will walk you through it. Hewlett and Dunn Boot Clothing Company, Rumble Boxing Gym, HempForPros.com. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you Monday.
Come check us out, guys. We're here all weekend.
Yeah, get out there, rain or shine.